thing. But if you said what was the key to victory, I think it was two things. Brock Purdy playing with a ton of poise in that environment, that atmosphere, very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. For a 23-year-old quarterback to play as mistake-free football as that guy played for the most part, very difficult to do. I think that has to be applauded. That's one. Number two, on defense, the 49ers as a defensive unit kept Philly in third and long a lot of the day. I mean, I didn't look exactly how the third downs broke down, but we didn't see a ton of the tush push because the Niners won on first and second down, and they got into a lot of 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Heck, we saw them punt in a situation where I thought they would go for it.
That late 4th and 2, I was surprised. And that's the thing. I guess it wasn't even that late, and he just didn't want to give the Niners the ball back on their own side of the field. But I even got to
stop him on D.
I got a text from John Kincaid, who is a Philadelphia sports talk show host who came on my channel last week, Larry, and he said, he's like, I can't believe Sirianni didn't go for it right there. And he basically told his entire team that everything we're doing all season long that has worked for us, we don't think can work today. And that was like a message that the Eagles probably didn't take very well on their own sideline. And that's when they realized, yeah, we're just not going to get this done today. And look, you talked about third down. The Niners were 8 of 11. Didn't feel like an 8 of 11 day on third down for the Niners, but they were, and the Eagles were 8 of 15. You know, that's a great number for the 49ers for Brock Purdy. I mean, that's the quarterback down. Yeah. Third down. What do you do on third down? 8 of 11 against the best team in the league in their joint, with all the pressure and everything that goes into it. Damon, I think we also got to credit Kyle Shanahan here because, the Niners are down 6-0. They get the ball back in that third possession. They get down to 3rd and goal from the 2, and you're thinking they're going to have to settle for a field goal here. And I thought that play design on the touchdown to Ayuk was just awesome. I mean, one, it was great chemistry, a great connection by Ayuk and Purdy. Purdy threw it to a spot. Ayuk got to that spot and touchdown Niners. But, I believe you had a 3 wide receivers bunch to the right. You had a play action bootleg. You had the orbit motion with Debo moving away from, moving from left to right. And you had Ayuk in the back, and they also had Jennings up front. And it was like they were worried about Debo. They were worried about Purdy running. They were worried about the quick underneath route to Jennings. And nobody covered the best receiver going right now. And he was in the back of the end zone and just a perfect timing route. There was really nobody there. Great throw, led him perfectly. Great diving catch. The Eagles challenge said it wasn't a catch, but replay made it stand up. Ayuk did a great job getting his hand underneath that ball because it did move a little. It did skid across the ground as he was going down to the ground. But
yeah, the design on that one was so unique because you have a play action bootleg and you got the orbit motion and you've got all kinds of eye candy pre-snap and there's all kinds of things going on there. You got the quarterback moving. You got Jennings with the quick underneath route. And it's like you just put tons of pressure right at the snap on Philly's defense, and they folded right there. So that I thought that was just an absolute pull it out of your back pocket at the perfect spot right there in 3rd and goal. Maybe the call of the game.
Sometimes, to really find out what happened in the game, you got to look deeper than the numbers show, and you got to find what a lot of people refer to as hidden yardage. Very rarely is hidden yardage right there in a rushing total. But that, to me, is where so much of the difference in this game was, Larry. I mean, the Eagles, one of their calling cards is how well they run the ball. 46 rushing yards for the Eagles yesterday. 46. That's it. 46 in a game that they were leading. So, I mean, when you're up, and they were only up, 6, but still, that's up. And that means you start running the ball. You're not as aggressive. You kind of go into what you do, and you get out of these are the special pages of the playbook to go back to this is our meat and potato pages of the playbook. There was no meat and potatoes for the Eagles yesterday. They couldn't get anyone going on the ground, Jalen Hurts included. And, I mean, the 49ers outrushed the Eagles 146 to 46 yards. Like I said, hidden yardage doesn't usually mean rushing total, but I had no idea, didn't think, would never even presume that the 49ers are going to outrun the Eagles by 100 yards at Lincoln Financial Field, while Brock Purdy was also throwing for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel was scoring 3 different times, and again, just banging moms. And it was as scary as the 49ers have looked all year. They're 42 points in 3 quarters, Larry.
Well, and not only that, I mean, the Niners pulled away with 14 in the fourth. So, I mean, it wasn't like this game wasn't close. And from the outset, the Eagles led 6-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was an 8-point game at the half. The Eagles lost balance in this game. They had 45 passes and 18 runs, and they ran for 2.6 a carry. Go back and look at their box scores this year. They've been holding teams to 2.6 a carry and running for like 7 a carry. I mean, DeAndre Swift was totally neutralized. He had 6 carries. He ran for 2.2 a carry. Gainwell, who's burned the Niners quite a bit in the past, was, he had some nice catches.
It's a really good backup running back, man.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, 2.5 a carry. Boston Scott, 2 yards in his 1 carry. So nobody ran the ball effectively at all, but they didn't commit to the run either. I think if there's one thing, if you're going to beat the 49ers, you got to commit to the run. And they didn't. They came out throwing the ball and felt like the Niners, that was their advantage. And the Niner pass D stood up. I mean, the coverage on the back end was spectacular. I mean, let's be honest. 4 weeks ago, 2 of the top 3 tacklers of the 49ers weren't even on the field. Jair Brown led the Niners with 7 tackles. Greenlaw was second. He would have been first if he hadn't been ejected. Ambry Thomas was technically second with 6 tackles, and he had 3 of the Niners' 11 passes defensed. So, I mean, Ambry and Jair on the back end played really solid football on the road as very young players. I mean, Brown's a freaking rookie, and Ambry has what, half dozen starts to his name. I mean, he has barely played in his career. So, I mean, those are 2 young, talented defensive backs that stood up in the moment. That, to me, there was one thing that I'm excited to talk to Wilkes about this week is how he felt his coverage unit stood up on the back end. I mean, if you look at those numbers, A.J. Brown was 8 for 114 and Devontae was 9 for 96. So it wasn't like they were shut down, but it was on 24 targets. I mean, they went at those guys a lot, so they caught 17 and they didn't catch 7. So not bad numbers. And it seemed like when Hurts did drop back to pass, there were multiple times where there just nobody was open. So that's huge departure from Cincinnati.
If you want to know how good the secondary played for the 49ers, just watch all that time that Jalen Hurts had in the pocket. And I'm going to tell you right now, every single zoom in on Lane Johnson, he's got a handful of jerseys. I don't think that there's any offensive lineman that is allowed to false start and hold as often as Lane Johnson seems to get away with it. But no complaints, right?
He's awesome, though, man. He's really good. That play where he just ragdolled Bosa at the point of attack? I mean, it was just
He's a really good tackle. He's a really good tackle. And like all really good tackles, you get away with a little bit of murder on your way to the Hall of Fame one day. It's kind of part of the position. But the time that Hurts had without him really even scrambling to extend that time. I mean, he is just sitting there like bouncing in the pocket, just waiting for something to pop open, and nothing comes open. And now, okay, it's the Niners, so I got to move a little here. I got to move around a little bit. And he moves to his second location, and now he's kind of bouncing over there, just scanning the field. He's on his, there's only 4 guys in the pattern, yet he's on his 6th read. I mean, he's looking anywhere to go with the ball, and there's nowhere to go with the ball. And that's a coverage sack. That is coverage. That is really good secondary play. And there is a clock of diminishing returns that Jalen Hurts did not have ticking in his head. And this is why he does take a lot of sacks, because there's a certain point where he has kept that play alive long enough to his advantage, but then the clock of diminishing returns comes in, and all of a sudden the advantage is very much on the defense, and you don't have anywhere to go with the ball. You're not going to just throw the ball away, which means you might put it into a little bit of a trouble area, and or Javon Kinlaw is going to fall down on top of you, which he did twice yesterday. So I wouldn't even say it was a great day for the 49ers defensive line. They got their jobs done and they maintained discipline. They didn't give Hurts the escape hatch, and that might have been the best part of Kasurik's game plan up front, Larry.
They rushed as one.
The escape hatch, which Jalen Hurts lives off of, really wasn't there for the taking in any one dramatic play or fashion. Sure, he got away a couple of times. That's what he does. But it wasn't a day of, oh, he's got nowhere to go, so here's Michael Vick in his legs and you're in trouble. It wasn't that. It wasn't that at all.
No, 3 sacks, 9 hits on the quarterback. That is, I would say, exactly the minimum of what they were hoping for. They got at least that. That was good. But the best thing, and Bosa said it early in the week, he said the key in this game is going to be for us to rush as one. In other words, you can't play tons of games. You can't play all kinds of looping stunts and twists. You got to kind of keep them hemmed in. You can't give them an avenue to run. They didn't.
Right.
I mean, for the most part,
escape hatch. You vacate a spot. That's where Hurts is going to go.
Well, and he did move at times, right? He ran 7 times for 20 yards. He had the tush-push touchdown, but he averaged 2.9 a carry. So, I mean, that's this guy can average 15 yards a carry. He when he gets out, he can burn you for huge swaths of grass. So, I mean, he didn't. So that, to me, I thought the defensive line's defending of Hurts was really, really good because we know what he potentially could do.